Lucifer Origins from the Sandman universe. Hello and welcome to another marvelous video. Today we will be talking about one of the most crucial characters from Neil Gaiman's Sandman, Lucifer Morningstar. Despite being a part of the DC universe, Netflix has been heavily invested with the legendary characters from Neil Gaiman's work, The Sandman. This is evident in the meticulous replication of the original comics that have just been translated into a TV series starring Tom Sturridge as Dream and other legendary performers like Kirby Howell-Baptiste, David Thewlis and Jenna Coleman. One might be excused for not realizing that the Netflix series Lucifer, which ended in the summer of 2021, was also based on the same source material as The Sandman, considering how unlike the two series are. Yes, Tom Ellis's portrayal of the devil is the same Satan that Gwendolyn Christie portrayed in Sandman, at least in the comics. We invite you to plunge into the shadows with us as we investigate the fallen angels past, present and future. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Lucifer Morningstar Origin. Sandman's interpretation of Lucifer cites John Milton's Paradise Lost. Lucifer, the epic poem's first main character, is a fallen angel who disobeyed God and said he would instead rule in hell than serve in heaven. Satan's plot to corrupt humans in an additional effort to outwit God is followed throughout Milton's work. Sandman steers away from any direct association with men while borrowing the charm and tragedy of this approach. This Lucifer Morningstar is primarily interested in himself and his adversary. He doesn't do anything to corrupt people's souls though. The DC universe took this narrative and applied a few artistic strokes. Mikhail Demiurgos and Samael, who would eventually take the name Lucifer Morningstar, were brothers that Yahweh formed in the emptiness that exists before all creations and is known as the Primal Monitor. After they were created, Yahweh led them and gave them instructions on how to use their abilities, and as a result, they created the DC multiverse. He was rumored to have been God's favorite, but after rebelling, he was banished from heaven and given control of hell, where he would torment sinners' souls for all time. For ages, Lucifer governed hell grudgingly and developed a fearsome reputation. In addition to the devil and Satan, he was also known as Old Scratch, Abaddon, and Belial. In the comics, Lucifer is typically shown as a tall, stylish, and a gorgeous guy with a fair complexion, amber eyes, and blonde or reddish blonde hair. He is always young and beautifully formed. However, in the Netflix show, Lucifer's sex was changed to that of a woman, but nonetheless, Gwendolyn Christie, who plays the role of Lucifer, is also very beautifully formed. In the comics, Lucifer is presented as refined and even charming. Underneath his charm, Lucifer is a lethal and Machiavellian figure with no respect for human life or any other than those he may exploit to his benefit. He is a conceited and a vengeful fallen angel who has no qualms about wielding his father's talents. His ability to manipulate people allowed him to rule hell for thousands of years. Before his fall, Lucifer was characterized as the wisest, most handsome, and the most powerful of all the angels in heaven, and these characteristics remained with him even after his fall. Despite his egoistic and selfish inclinations, Lucifer adheres to a code of honor. He refuses to lie, which he finds crude and undignified, and insists on fulfilling his obligations and keeping his word. Among the few individuals he admires in the universe are his brothers Michael and Duma. Only Marzi Keen, his demon consort, and his niece Elaine might be said to be close to him, otherwise it's uncertain whether he would even help them. However, his actions on their behalf are usually for his own benefit. It was stated that he eventually became weary of his life and was offended by many misconceptions mortals had about the devil, such as the false notion that he bought and sold souls or that he coerced people into doing terrible things despite their free will. Although he himself was not bad, he punished those who were. He believed he would be forced to govern hell for all eternity due to his previous rebellion. A few years before the events of Sandman, heaven was challenged by a shadow entity known as the Dark, which ended in a draw. The delicate balance of power in hell was now shifted, forcing Lucifer to create a triumvirate with Beelzebub and Azazel. Dream encountered Lucifer for the first time in Preludes and Nocturnes issue 4 when he journeyed to hell in pursuit of his helm. Dream faced out against a demon named Choronzon for control of the helm and won. Lucifer responded when Dream remarked that his deeds were honorable. Honorable? 1,000,000 rulers of hell have gathered around you as you jest. Why should we let you go, please? You are powerless in this place. What kind of strength does Dream have in hell? But Lucifer was humiliated by Dream's response. What power would hell have if those imprisoned were not able to dream of heaven? This sequence was portrayed rather well in the Sandman TV series in episode 4. Lucifer's name is mentioned again in Season of Mists issue 21. In this particular issue, Destiny calls for all his siblings except Destruction, as he had abandoned his post a long time back, for a meeting after a long time to discuss something important. Finally, Desire is compelled to break her older brother Dream. She starts making fun of his unsuccessful love affairs. She even criticizes how he treated Nada, locking her up in hell for all time out of sheer arrogance. Desire's taunts infuriate Dream, who walks out. Death approaches him and attempts to soothe him. Death says that Desire was correct, despite her affection for him. Nada did not deserve her punishment, and she decided to forego being a god on her own. Realizing his transgression, Dream resolves to make amends by traveling to hell and working with Lucifer to secure Nada's release. He bids his sister farewell and departs in the hopes that he will make it through the hardship. Destiny says they are no longer required when Death returns to the table, since Dream's return to hell is the event he has been waiting for. Dream summons the people of his ghost castle to hear him speak. He issues a foreboding that he might not come back before departing. He is heading to hell to ask Nada, his former mortal girlfriend, for forgiveness after he mistakenly imprisoned her there out of hubris. Unfortunately, Lucifer got angry with him on his last journey to hell in Preludes and Nocturne. And if he does so again, he could decide not to let him go back. As he waits, Matthew and Raven approaches his master and inquire about Lucifer's characteristics. He is undoubtedly more powerful than Dream and may be the most powerful entity except the Creator himself. According to Dream, Lucifer was once an angel and one of the Creator's most magnificent creations. Dream sends Cain to talk with Lucifer on his behalf. Cain forewarns that the Lord of Dreams is approaching regardless of the fallen angel's consent. The other demons want to murder the messenger, but Lucifer alerts them that the Creator protects him because of the mark of Cain. Cain has been released from his bonds by Lucifer and cautions that if Dream enters hell once again, he will destroy him. Cain later returns to the castle, and with his warning dispatched, Dream dons his helm and prepares to enter the depths of hell. Dream makes his way past the 4 gates of Lucifer's kingdom, ready to fight the armies of hell if necessary. However, he discovers that the place is curiously deserted. He searches for Nada to apologize and liberate her, but her cell is empty. He sees that Nada is missing, and the whole population of hell has vanished. He screams out Lucifer's name until he hears a response from the fallen angel. Dream demands an explanation for what has occurred, and Lucifer says simply that he has resigned. As a result of this choice, Satan has liberated everyone imprisoned in hell and distributed them to various locations. However, there are a few stragglers, and Dream joins him to send them away. After the stragglers are sent away by Dream and Lucifer, Lucifer tells Dream that he believes his fall from heaven was not so much a rebellion, but a divinely scripted drama to be carried out. Now that he's had enough of his lot, he takes up the key and locks each of the gates of hell. Lucifer says as they move about shutting each gate that it is not his control that sends people to hell or suffering. The mortal's inner yearning is to be condemned for wrongdoings, and they demand that he be punished. Lucifer is shocked to be approached by a young demon woman named Marzikeen after the last gate has been closed. She declares her love for him and states that she won't leave him. Despite being appreciative of her affection, Lucifer kisses her and sends her away with the others. He takes the knife from the girl and hands it to Dream, asking him to chop off his wings for him. Dream inquires about Nada as he completes cutting off Lucifer's wings. He declares, grinning, that Dream is now the only ruler of a closed-off hell, and he anticipates that this new position will only bring the Dream Lord grief. Although Lucifer is unsure of the woman's fate, he is confident that she is in another dimension. He bids Dream luck in his search for her before leaving him the key to the gates of hell. After that, Lucifer vanished, leaving his previous world sealed and Dream in charge of solving its issues. The gods of many pantheons and other interested parties started showing up in the dreaming as the dead began to return to Earth and ask for control of the key or for the realm to remain closed. In the end, the government of hell was established, but Lucifer had no more influence. After this incident, Lucifer doesn't show up until the end of Season of Mists issue 28, and that too for a few seconds. A guy approaches Lucifer on a beach in Perth, Australia. The man joins Lucifer in appreciating the beauty of the sunset while sitting on a deck chair. After the guy has left, Lucifer cannot help but acknowledge to the creator how lovely the sunsets are. Lucifer made a brief appearance in The Kindly Ones as the proprietor of the nightclub Lux in Los Angeles. The angel Ramil arrived and implored Lucifer to release him from hell's reign, to which Lucifer chuckled. Delirium subsequently requested Lucifer's assistance in defeating the Furies. Lucifer informed her that her sibling was beyond saving. What makes Lucifer so powerful? Unlike other fallen angels, Lucifer preserved his near omnipotent powers probably because he was an archangel rather than having them go away altogether. Lucifer has the ability to control any external force to achieve any desired consequence. On the other hand, he cannot make something out of anything. For this, he needs the demiurgic energy of his brother Michael and subsequently his niece Elaine. When together, Michael and Lucifer can create everything from living creatures to whole multiverses. Lucifer is even more powerful than the Endless, and the only known entities capable of competing with or surpassing his strength are Michael and the Presence. Lucifer has the ability to move between realms at will. Lucifer may build gates to hell by shooting flames from his hands. He can even open portals to the void, a realm beyond existence. He might even fracture a dimensional doorway to his own planet across the cosmos, producing millions more gates. Lucifer will never age physically and will live forever. He has existed for billions of years. Only the Presence is thought to be capable of destroying him. Additionally, he can travel to places in space and time where no human body could exist. In the event that Lucifer murders a human or supernatural entity, he has the power to determine the soul's final resting place as a demon. Musubi gave her consent for him to murder her, and as a result, she was released from Izanami's control. In addition, Lucifer possesses the power to summon the flames of the multiple suns he has given birth to. He has the ability to manipulate it on a tiny scale, such as when he manipulates a flame, or on a bigger one, such as when he creates suns. He can also generate blasts from fire at will. Lucifer can function without rest or sleep. He could walk continuously for 9 days without resting and showed no fatigue symptoms. He had the power to launch someone into orbit. Before his image departs your eye, Lucifer is claimed to be able to go around the earth. When constructing the cosmos, Lucifer significantly accelerated the passage of time to hasten the process. Using his telekinetic abilities, Lucifer could slice criminals into pieces with knives he threw at them. Apart from all this, Lucifer is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. He has immense cosmic awareness and enhanced intellect. Lucifer is also able to fly by using his immense angelic wings.
Tell us, why should we let you leave?
Lucifer as portrayed by Gwendolyn Christie in the Sandman Netflix series. In A Hope in Hell, the fourth episode of the Sandman, Morpheus enters the underworld to retrieve his stolen helmet, which a demon by the name of Choronzon had taken. The devil challenged the Lord of Dreams to the oldest game, where the winner would receive the helmet and the loser would spend all of eternity as a slave of hell. Dream concurs, but Choronzon went with Lucifer Morningstar as his champion. In front of the gathered armies of hell, Morpheus humiliated Lucifer by outwitting the devil and regaining the helmet. When Lucifer tried to stop Dream from leaving hell, stating, "What powers can Dream have in hell?" Dream replies, just like in the comics, about how everyone in hell dreams of heaven, thus ending their confrontation and allowing Dream to return to his realm. Lucifer ominously assured Mazikeen at the conclusion of the Sandman Season 1 that his upcoming action will be something he has never done before, would make God extremely enraged and throw Morpheus to his knees. Lucifer then vowed to get retribution by destroying Dream of the Endless. Dream has no idea what the devil has in mind. The Sandman on Netflix makes a clever and significant adjustment to how the events in hell were shown in the comics. In the printed version of Gaiman's story, Choronzon battled Dream in the oldest game and fell short. It further humiliates the devil by having him fall to the Dream King by making Lucifer Morpheus's foe. This makes Lucifer's planned act of retribution in the Sandman Season 2 much more intimate. But if and as the Sandman Season 2 adopts the Season of Mist's plot, there are additional shocks that will undoubtedly leave Morpheus stunned and in disbelief. One of the Dukes of Hell and the commander of Hell's forces, Lord Azazel, was introduced in the Season 1 finale of The Sandman. Azazel asked Lucifer to wage war on the Dreaming in retaliation for Morpheus. Since demons aren't allowed to leave hell, they can instead extend its frontiers to take over the Dreaming, the waking world, and finally even heaven itself. Taking over the realm of dreams would be stage 1 in hell's grand strategy in its fight against heaven. The only significant difference between Azazel in The Sandman on Netflix and the demon in Neil Gaiman's comics is that in the graphic book, a trio of demons, Lucifer, Azazel, and Beelzebub, rule hell together. However, Lucifer is the only king of hell in Netflix's The Sandman, and the fallen angel has the last word in all infernal issues. The Silver City, which is almost like heaven in the world of the Sandman, but not quite, was also described by Lucifer. The angels, including Lucifer Morningstar, before he rebelled and was sent to hell 10 billion years ago, live in the Silver City, an unattainable realm. The Silver City is impenetrable, yet God is found in heaven beyond it. The Silver City was depicted partly in Lucifer's last seasons, and when Netflix's The Sandman adapts the Season of Mists in Season 2, it's likely to do the same. The responsibility of being in command of hell is Lucifer's vengeance on the Sandman. Additionally, it is an insult to God, who demands that hell exists in order to mirror heaven, just as Dream said to Lucifer in Season 1 of The Sandman that hell would be meaningless if the damned were unable to dream of heaven. The fate of Nada is also crucial in the Season of Mists, since Morpheus will decide to go back to hell in The Sandman Season 2 to save his former love and make apologies. Lucifer from the Netflix TV series. After being cancelled by the Fox network, the Netflix streaming service picked up the Lucifer television series. The show debuted on television in 2016. It is based on the DC Comics brand Vertigo's comic book, The Sandman. In 1989, author Neil Gaiman introduced Lucifer Morningstar as a member of his The Sandman comic book series. The Sandman Presents Lucifer was a spin-off graphic novel that Mike Carey created in 1999. He later made a Lucifer solo series for 75 issues that concluded in 2006. The idea of the TV show is identical to that of the comic. Both feature a Lucifer who has voluntarily given up his position as ruler of hell and assumed control of the Lux nightclub in Los Angeles. The comic addresses the theological issues of free choice and predestination that Lucifer brings up when confronting the Judeo-Christian God. The TV show centers on Lucifer, who, for his own entertainment, decides to assist LAPD detective Chloe Decker in homicide investigations. Let's look at Lucifer's antics in the beloved TV series. The title character of the TV series Lucifer is Lucifer Morningstar, initially created as Samael and went by the Lightbringer moniker. He is an archangel and the identical twin of Michael, another archangel. Humans commonly refer to Lucifer as the devil or Satan and hold him responsible for all of humanity's transgressions. After a failed uprising against his father, Lucifer was exiled from heaven and made to rule over hell all of the time, where he oversaw the torment of cursed human souls. Eve and her husband Adam were exiled to dwell on earth for the remainder of their lives due to Lucifer's temptation of Eve in the Garden of Eden during his reign as the king of hell. He would meet up with his old buddy Lilith in 1946 to assist her in locating her ring after several trips to Earth. Ultimately, the ring and Lilith's immortality were given to Lucifer. Samael is unique because he is an archangel and the light bringer, making him the brightest of all God's angels. Samael was one of the many angels that God and Goddess gave birth to after the Big Bang billions of years ago. He was also the younger Michael's twin, but the brothers came to hate one another because of Samael's size. Samael's elder twin changed his name to Michael because he didn't want it to rhyme with Samael's. When he and his brothers were young angels, they looked up to, revered, and even dreaded his oldest brother, Amenadiel. While he trained and played with his siblings, Uriel was frequently left out of their activities by him and the other senior angel. As a result, Uriel would play practical jokes on Samael. He referred to his younger sister Azrael as Ray Ray and liked playing practical jokes on Amenadiel with her. However, he was envious that his brother Hanjobadiel was regarded as the handsomest of them all. Samael eventually felt abandoned by their father because of his unwavering commitment to creating humanity and deciding to rebel against him. He declared his intention to launch a revolt against God directly, but his father just thought it was adorable. In disobedience to their father, Samael changed his identity to Lucifer Morningstar and oversaw a significant uprising with the help of other angels, including Serakiel. Unfortunately, God judged him for his defiance, banned him from heaven forever, and decreed that he would be burned alive if he attempted to return. He was responsible for ruling hell and punishing the offender's eternal souls. He glanced into a mirror when he arrived in hell and saw he had a horrible visage and thought it was God punishing him for his defiance. When his old companion Lilith gave birth to her progeny, thousands of demons, she dispatched them to hell to serve as Lucifer's army, ensuring that his reign would not be isolated. One of them, Mazikeen, rose to the position of Lucifer's closest companion, protector, and devoted soldier, and he confided in her about his twin Michael. Lucifer owed Lilith a favor as a consequence. Despite his reluctance, Lucifer governed hell for millennia and developed a reputation as the incarnation of evil, created in numerous civilizations and religious systems. The devil, Satan, Abaddon, Old Scratch, Beelzebub, Prince of Darkness, Belial, Prince of Lies, Lord of Temptation, and the Dark Lord are just a few of the numerous names and titles he came to be known by. Lucifer hated most of them, but he liked Old Scratch. However, he grew to hate his birth name since it reminded him of his scandalous behavior. His connection with Azrael deteriorated since he thought she had abandoned him by neglecting to pay him any visits while he was in hell. In the Garden of Eden, Lucifer encountered Adam and Eve sometime after his fall from grace. He corrupted them, thereby giving them the knowledge of good and evil through the consumption of fruit from the tree of life. While having an affair with Eve, Lucifer questioned the first woman about whether she really wanted to be Adam's wife, a question no one else cared to ask. He developed a deep bond with Eve as a result of his interest in what she desired. However, these actions so incensed God that he banished Adam and Eve from Eden and forced them to spend the rest of their lives on earth. When they produced two sons, Cain and Abel, and Cain slew his brother, he was sent to hell and became its first inhabitant. After that, Lucifer learnt of Cain becoming the world's first murderer, and how his father condemned him to roam the earth for a tortured eternity. When humanity expanded in large numbers, Lucifer ordered the demons to stop occupying the bodies of departed damned souls, fearing that they would wreak chaos on earth and slay humans before their time. Incineration was the penalty for defying him. The goddess was imprisoned in hell for bringing plagues and floods on humanity hundreds of years later. Lucifer never bothered to visit his mother when she was imprisoned, giving her the same cold shoulder she gave him when God expelled him. Throughout the millennia, Lucifer would visit Earth occasionally, only to be met by a Manipulative who would always come to take Lucifer back to hell. Lucifer was responsible for the flaming bush Moses witnessed in 1583 BC before the Common Period. Before his death in 1323 BC, Lucifer met Egypt's king Tutankhamun and indulged in a 37-person human train orgy with Caligula. He spent time with Attila the Hun, where he developed a taste for Hungarian rum balls. Between 1599 and 1601, he provided constructive feedback to William Shakespeare when writing Hamlet, and was rewarded with a signed copy of one of his works. In 1793, he reconnected with Lilith during Marie Antoinette's coming-out party, culminating in her beheading. By the fact that Lucifer humiliated Napoleon with Jophiel, the dictator presented him with a horse statue. He attended Sigmund Freud's bris in 1856 and got close to him, getting his personal journal before his death. In 1892, he met up with writer Oscar Wilde and fell in love with the interesting bachelor. He handed him a line about stars from Oscar Wilde's classic play Lady Windermere's Fan. When a masochist got to hell, Lucifer assisted in his agony. He tormented him in every way he wanted, whether by burning, freezing, or simply harming him. However, the spirit strangely missed his regular punishment after ages. When the king of hell returned from one of his excursions to earth for their next torment session, he was shocked to discover the soul sobbing, imploring him not to forget him again and vowing to be nice. At that time, Lucifer recognized this person was so full of self-loathing and lack of self-respect that whatever attention he showed gave purpose to his pointless life, despite the torment he put on him. Because it was the most gloomy, he avoided Franz Kafka's Hell Loop. He visited Nazi Germany and socialized with them either before or during the World War II. He saved scorching crotches for them and pedophiles and became tired of hearing Adolf Hitler's screams. Lucifer bought a 22-bedroom castle in Austria that hardly got hit during the war and met private detective Jack Monroe following his service at the Battle of the Bulge. Lucifer despised the notion linking him to goats, never understanding how it started because he doesn't even enjoy their cheese. He learned to loathe Satanists who worshipped him as the incarnation of evil in the Bible. During one of Lucifer's travels to Earth in 2011, he helped Amenadiel retrieve his necklace and finally chose to renounce his kingdom to open a nightclub in Los Angeles named Lux. He compelled his eldest brother to comply due to the agreement he made with him to help him retrieve his jewelry, and he enlisted the aid of his best friend and senior lieutenant, Marzi Keen, who owed John Constantine a favor for assisting her in leaving hell during their quest for the necklace. He repaid Mars's favor during the Anti-Monitor crisis before the multiverse was destroyed and later resurrected, letting the former king of hell to resume his carefree existence. After witnessing the death of his companion Delilah, Lucifer's life turned for the worst. Feeling motivated to uncover the murderer, he became close to Detective Chloe Decker and eventually solved the case with her. He became an advisor with the LAPD, allowing him to punish evildoers on Earth rather than in hell. Lucifer also began seeing Linda Martin for counseling, briefly becoming a lover. After suddenly learning that he feels susceptible to her presence, his friendship with the detective becomes increasingly personal. Before passing away, Lucifer strikes a contract with God to protect Chloe in exchange for being a devoted son. Amenadiel, who wants to return him to hell, comes into battle with him. However, after Malcolm Graham, a corrupt police officer, revived him in an erroneous effort to fulfill God's purpose, the brothers band together to oppose Graham. Lucifer was terminally wounded by Malcolm while attempting to defend Chloe. He is briefly taken back to hell when he is shown that his mother broke out of a jail. After God undoes his death and sends Malcolm back to hell, he interprets what he witnessed as fulfilling his obligation to bring Goddess back to hell. Lucifer and Chloe were on the verge of coming together when he learned that God had placed her in his path for unknown reasons, leading him to end his feelings for her to safeguard her. They ultimately reconcile after a protracted search for Goddess, only for him to condemn her to dwell among the humans she detested as a way to punish her so they could rejoin. Uriel finally became aware of her presence, which compelled Lucifer to kill him with the blade of death in order to save Goddess and Chloe. He then discloses his true personality to Linda, leading her to withdraw from him before finally picking up where they left off since he needs her help. He volunteered to assist in putting the flaming sword back together after learning of his mother's desire to confront God in heaven. Still, his true goal was to bring his mother back to their house and force his parents to fight as retaliation for their deceit. He went against Goddess, using the sword to cut through space itself, allowing his mother the chance to create her own world, aware that their actions would lead to a civil war and result in the deaths of many of his brothers. Because of this selfless deed, Lucifer unwittingly regained his wings. With his wings back and his devilish appearance gone, Lucifer decided to exact revenge on the Sandman, a notorious felon who he claimed was responsible for all of this. Charlotte Richards, whose time in hell left her damaged, was another person with whom he struck up a bond. After a protracted manhunt and a series of deceptions, Lucifer discovered that the LAPD's new lieutenant, Kane, was not only the world's first killer and the Sandman, but also had nothing to do with his most recent predicament. As a result, Lucifer began working to assist Kane in removing his mark, so that he may eventually die before choosing to dissolve it when it put Chloe in danger. Lucifer did this because he believed that God had done everything to thwart Cain's goals. Lucifer recognized that all the alterations to his body were his doings and felt that he deserved what he had received when Cain killed Charlotte and Amenadiel recovered his wings. When Lucifer eventually murdered Cain, he once again assumed his devilish appearance because he felt like a monster for breaching God's first commandment not to kill humans, just as Chloe had seen. After she initially deceived him into having Father William Kinley send him back to hell, Chloe's relationship with Lucifer changed. Even though Chloe understood she was wrong, Lucifer couldn't bring himself to pardon her, and when Eve reappeared and the two resumed their previous connection, things only worsened. After their final reconciliation, Lucifer continued his role as an LAPD consultant. Unfortunately, Eve's influence caused Lucifer to begin punishing the guilty severely, until he understood what he was becoming and ended his relationship with her to stop a prophecy that the world would end. However, the prophecy came to pass as demons began to invade Los Angeles, prompting Lucifer to travel back to hell to control them. Chloe and Lucifer acknowledged their affection for one another before he left, and he returned to ruling hell. When Michael began causing havoc on Earth 2 months later, which were actually eons in hell's time, Lucifer was compelled to go back. After Chloe learned from her miraculous origin, their connection changed, and he lost trust in himself when he realized Michael had been manipulating him from the start. However, Lucifer and Chloe could get over their problems and subsequently start dating. When Lucifer was with her, his mojo transferred to her, making him susceptible once more and generating strife in their new partnership. Lucifer was forced to confront his true love for Chloe when she was abducted by his twin and later freed, but he was prevented from doing so when Michael and Maze assaulted him and Amenadiel. But when God appeared, their sibling conflict was resolved. When spending time with God, Lucifer discovered that he was planning to retire. This sparked a dispute between him and Michael over who would succeed God, with the former growing adamant that he would prevail after Michael was responsible for Dan Espinosa's passing. Even though it appeared Michael had killed Chloe, Lucifer gave his life to raise her from the dead, ultimately professing his love for her. Because of Lucifer's selfless deed, he rose from the dead as the new god, and everyone in the room fell to their knees before him. After delaying his choice to become God for several weeks because he felt unqualified, Lucifer decided against it. He is taken aback when Aurora Morningstar, his future daughter, approaches him in her timeline and demands to know why he abandoned Chloe and her. Despite being baffled as to why, Lucifer demonstrated to Rory that he cared about her and would never purposefully leave her, resulting in their reunion. Lucifer later understood that his true purpose was to aid in healing the wretched souls of hell so that they could be redeemed after assisting Dan in dealing with his remorse and ascending into heaven, and preventing Aurora from killing Vincent Lemecq. After gaining blessings from Chloe and Rory, he left, becoming Hell's new therapist, and Amenadiel taking over as the new god. After passing away from old age decades later, Chloe is reunited with Lucifer in Hell and joins him there voluntarily as his forever companion in his quest. Trivia. Physically, the persona of Lucifer Morningstar in the comics was based on rock star Ziggy Stardust David Bowie. Marvelous verdict. Gaiman's tales are about finding oneself and having a purpose in life. These stories' depictions of these people are so true to life that they root the narrative and bring the main characters down to earth. These stories and realistic portrayals of humans are crafted so skillfully that they read like any ordinary person you may run into in daily life, which drives the heavenly characters to develop. Even if Lucifer deviates more and the Sandman is more closely tied to the original material, both shows are improved and retain the vitality of the comics throughout their whole runs. Let's just hope we get confirmation of the second season of the Sandman soon so that the Archangel's lore can be adequately shown to the new gen audience. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.